The warm morning sun bathed the skyline of Sterling Heights as employees filled the gleaming headquarters of Blackwood Global Holdings for the company's annual leadership summit. Executives in tailored suits exchanged confident smiles while photographers captured every important arrival. Standing quietly near the service entrance, however, was a widowed single father named Elias Rowan, holding his 6-year-old daughter Ivy by the hand because her school had unexpectedly closed for the day. Elias worked as the company's facilities supervisor, a position he had earned through years of honesty and relentless dedication. He planned to keep Ivy close to his office until the afternoon, hoping not to disturb anyone. But only minutes after entering the building, the newly appointed CEO, Adrian Blackwood, approached him with an unusual expression and calmly explained that her father believed Elias desperately needed a wife to rebuild his life. The unexpected remark stunned everyone nearby. Yet the quiet answer Elias gave moments later would leave one of the most powerful women in the country completely speechless and begin a journey that neither of them could have imagined. Before we continue this emotional story, if you believe kindness, respect, and second chances can change lives, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who believes in compassion, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise. Your support helps us continue bringing inspiring stories to people around the world. Elias Rowan had never imagined raising a child alone. 5 years earlier, his beloved wife, Nora, had passed away after a brief illness, leaving him heartbroken and terrified of facing parenthood by himself. Every morning since then began before sunrise. He prepared breakfast, braided Ivy's long chestnut hair with clumsy determination after watching countless tutorial videos, packed her lunch, and walked her to school before beginning his own workday. Although life often felt exhausting, he never allowed grief to steal the joy from his daughter's childhood. Her laughter became the light that guided him through every difficult day. Unlike many employees, Elias rarely spoke about his personal life. He preferred letting his actions define him rather than his hardships. When equipment malfunctioned, he quietly repaired it before anyone noticed. When storms damaged company property, he remained long after everyone else had gone home to ensure the building was safe. Cleaning crews, receptionists, engineers, and security guards respected him because he treated every person with equal kindness regardless of position or salary. Many believed he deserved a management role, but Elias had never chased titles. Providing stability for Ivy mattered far more than climbing the corporate ladder. Adrian Blackwood had recently become CEO after her father, Malcolm Blackwood, stepped away due to declining health. Brilliant, disciplined, and admired throughout the business world, she had spent years proving she could lead one of the nation's largest companies. Yet beneath her confident exterior, she carried a quiet loneliness few people recognized. Endless meetings, international travel, and constant responsibility had left little room for genuine relationships. Malcolm noticed that loneliness long before she admitted it to herself. Several weeks earlier, Malcolm had observed Elias comforting Ivy in the company courtyard during his lunch break. The little girl had fallen while chasing pigeons, scraping her knee on the pavement. Instead of panicking, Elias gently cleaned the wound, told her stories about courage, and soon had her smiling again beneath the bright afternoon sun. Watching from his office window, Malcolm saw something he had rarely witnessed inside. Corporate boardrooms. Quiet strength built entirely on love rather than ambition. Curious, Malcolm quietly asked longtime employees about Elias. Every story sounded remarkably similar. They described a dependable father who never sought recognition, always volunteered to help others, and never allowed personal struggles to affect his integrity. Malcolm admired such character because it reminded him of the values upon which he had built Blackwood Global decades earlier. One evening, Malcolm shared those observations with Adrian over dinner. He gently suggested that she spend time understanding people like Elias instead of judging success only through executive titles and financial results. Half-jokingly, he remarked that a devoted man like Elias deserved someone willing to stand beside him, and perhaps his own daughter needed someone whose greatest achievement was not wealth but character. Adrian laughed at the idea, dismissing it as one of her father's sentimental reflections. Still, his words lingered in her thoughts. So when she unexpectedly encountered Elias and little Ivy inside the headquarters lobby that morning, curiosity overcame hesitation. She approached them respectfully and repeated her father's surprising observation, explaining that Malcolm believed Elias needed a wife to help carry the burdens of life. Several nearby executives smiled awkwardly, expecting embarrassment or gratitude. Instead, Elias looked down at Ivy with gentle affection before raising his eyes toward Adrian. There was no anger, no discomfort, only calm sincerity. He quietly explained that he had never needed someone simply to fill an empty place beside him. The woman who entered his life would have to love Ivy before she ever loved him. She would need to understand that marriage was never about rescuing loneliness or satisfying expectations. It was about choosing to build a family where a little girl always came first, even before the husband she married. Until someone could love his daughter with her whole heart, he would rather remain single than offer Ivy anything less. Those simple words silenced the entire lobby. For the first time in many years, Adrian found herself unable to respond. She had negotiated billion-dollar acquisitions, spoken before world leaders, and led thousands of employees. Yet the quiet conviction of one ordinary single father left her questioning everything she believed about love, success, and family. And neither of them realized that Malcolm Blackwood had already begun quietly setting events into motion that would soon bring their lives together in ways neither expected. The conversation in the lobby lingered in Adrian Blackwood's mind long after everyone returned to work. Throughout the day she sat through presentations, approved contracts worth millions of dollars, and listened to financial forecasts, yet she found herself thinking about the quiet conviction in Elias Rowan's voice. For the first time in years, someone had spoken to her without trying to impress her, flatter her position, or gain something from her influence. His only concern had been the happiness of his little daughter. It was a kind of strength she had rarely encountered inside executive boardrooms. Meanwhile, Elias returned to his responsibilities as though nothing unusual had happened. He repaired a faulty air conditioning unit on the 5th floor, helped a new employee locate an office, and spent his lunch break sharing sandwiches with Ivy in the company garden beneath the warm afternoon sunshine. They laughed together while feeding tiny birds that gathered near the fountain, completely unaware that Malcolm Blackwood watched them quietly from his office window with a gentle smile. Later that week, Malcolm invited Elias to his private office. Expecting to discuss a maintenance project, Elias arrived carrying a folder of inspection reports. Instead, the retired founder thanked him for years of faithful service and spoke warmly about the importance of family. Malcolm admitted that after observing him with Ivy, he had been reminded of the values upon which Blackwood Global had been built decades earlier: honesty, compassion, sacrifice, and responsibility. Elias listened respectfully, never realizing how deeply those words affected the elderly businessman. Before Elias left, Malcolm made an unusual request. The company would soon host its annual Family Community Day, where employees were encouraged to bring their children for games, educational activities, and charity events. Malcolm personally asked Elias to help organize the outdoor program because he believed no one understood the importance of family better than he did. Although surprised, Elias gratefully accepted. On the morning of the event, bright blue skies stretched across the city as hundreds of employees arrived with their families. Children filled the company gardens with laughter while volunteers prepared picnic tables, music, and games. Ivy spent the morning helping younger children paint colorful birdhouses while Elias quietly moved from station to station making sure every activity ran smoothly. His calm leadership impressed everyone who worked alongside him. Adrian attended the event expecting only a brief appearance before returning to business meetings. Instead, she found herself watching Elias from a distance. She noticed how every child naturally trusted him, how anxious parents relaxed when he offered help, and how he never sought attention despite doing more than anyone else. When Ivy accidentally spilled juice across her own artwork and burst into tears, Elias knelt beside her with patience, turning the mistake into a colorful painting by adding flowers around the stain. Within moments Ivy was laughing again. Something inside Adrian quietly changed. She suddenly understood why Malcolm admired the single father so deeply. Success had taught her how to build profitable companies. Elias showed her how to build secure hearts. As the afternoon continued, Adrian joined several children's activities for the first time in many years. She helped distribute art supplies, read stories beneath a large oak tree, and even laughed while participating in a charity relay race. Employees who had always known her as a serious executive were astonished by the warmth they witnessed. Ivy shyly handed Adrian one of the painted birdhouses she had decorated with tiny blue flowers, saying it reminded her that every family deserves a safe home. Adrian accepted the gift with unexpected emotion. That evening, after the event ended, Malcolm quietly asked his daughter what she had learned. Adrian admitted that she had spent years believing leadership meant always appearing strong, independent, and emotionally distant. Watching Elias had taught her something entirely different. True strength was found in serving others without expecting recognition. True leadership began with kindness. Malcolm smiled but offered no further advice. He simply reminded her that people reveal their greatest qualities not during moments of success, but through the quiet choices they make every ordinary day. As the sun slowly set over the company gardens, Adrian looked across the empty courtyard where Elias and Ivy had spent the afternoon laughing together. For the first time in many years, she realized she was no longer wondering whether the single father needed someone beside him. She was quietly asking herself whether she possessed the kind of heart worthy of standing beside a man who had already built such a beautiful family on his own. But the greatest test of their lives was still waiting. Because within days, an unexpected crisis would force Adrian and Elias to discover that love is never proven by words alone. It is revealed through sacrifice. Only a few days after the family community day, an unexpected electrical fire broke out in a storage wing of Blackwood Global's headquarters on a bright summer morning. The emergency alarms echoed through the building as employees calmly evacuated floor by floor. In the confusion, someone realized that a group of visiting children had been separated from their parents inside an activity room. Without waiting for recognition or instructions, Elias Rowan rushed into the smoke-filled hallway with the emergency response team he had helped train over the years. Guided by experience and remarkable composure, he safely led every child and employee outside before firefighters fully contained the situation. Standing in the sunshine with Ivy tightly hugging him, Elias quietly checked on frightened families before thinking about himself. Watching from the emergency command area, Adrian Blackwood felt overwhelmed. She realized that while executives had been reviewing procedures on paper, Elias had been living those values every single day. He had never sought praise, yet when lives depended on courage, he was the first to act. Malcolm looked at his daughter with quiet pride, knowing she was witnessing the difference between authority and genuine leadership. When the emergency ended, reporters gathered outside the headquarters hoping to interview the man who had helped protect dozens of families. Elias politely declined every request. Instead, he thanked the firefighters, the security officers, the maintenance crew, and every employee who had remained calm during the evacuation. He insisted that no one person deserved the credit because everyone had worked together to keep the children safe. His humility touched every person present. That afternoon, Adrian invited Elias and Ivy to Malcolm's private office. Sunlight poured through the large windows as the elderly founder slowly stood and placed the small painted birdhouse Ivy had given Adrian on the desk between them. Malcolm smiled warmly and admitted that years earlier he believed his daughter needed someone who could teach her the true meaning of family. Now he understood that life had already provided that lesson. Adrian turned toward Elias with complete sincerity. She confessed that when she had first approached him in the lobby, she believed her father's words were about finding him a wife. She now realized they had never been about rescuing him at all. They had been about opening her own heart. She thanked Elias for showing her that real success is measured by compassion, sacrifice, and the courage to put others before yourself. Elias listened quietly before offering the same honest answer that had silenced her weeks earlier. He explained that nothing had changed about what mattered most. Ivy would always come first. Any future built together would have to begin not with wealth, titles, or expectations, but with trust, friendship, and genuine love for the little girl who had already lost one parent. Adrian smiled through tears because she finally understood. Love could never be rushed or demanded. It had to be earned one act of kindness at a time. Over the following months, their friendship grew naturally. Adrian spent time reading with Ivy, helping her with school science projects, and joining simple weekend picnics in the park instead of expensive social events. She never tried to replace Nora's memory. Instead, she honored it by becoming someone Ivy could trust completely. Little by little, the walls around all three hearts began to disappear. One beautiful autumn morning, Blackwood Global held another company gathering beneath clear blue skies. This time, Malcolm stood before every employee and announced a new company tradition called the Rowan Family Leadership Award, recognizing workers who demonstrated exceptional kindness, integrity, and service regardless of their job title. The loudest applause of the day came not from executives, but from custodians, receptionists, technicians, and security staff who finally felt seen and appreciated. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes true love begins with respect, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise for more emotional stories filled with hope, family, and second chances. Special request: please comment, "The greatest title in life is a loving parent." As the golden afternoon sunlight illuminated the company gardens, Ivy laughed while chasing butterflies with Adrian walking beside her and Elias smiling a few steps behind. Malcolm quietly watched from a nearby bench, knowing his greatest legacy would never be the company he built. It would be the family that learned love is never about rescuing someone who seems incomplete. It is about finding people whose hearts are already full of kindness, and choosing to walk beside them for the rest of the journey.